Sydney Fizzard coming to you from Calgary, Alberta. And as you may know, Canada has just concluded its federal election. And it looks like we have a Mark Carney minority government taking the reins.
Canada is done. I think this victory for Liberals is going to be the catalyst for separation for Alberta.
I wish the bloc would go away. They shouldn't be allowed in the national parliament.
Alberta kind of got f***ed over.
People have the shortest memory in this country. So 3 months of Trump meant we forgot about 9 years of what we went through. Like, what did the Liberals do to deserve another chance?
I think Canadians are f***ing stupid, straight out. Economically illiterate morons who cannot make a judgment call. And the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results.
Loading up his district with, over 100 names or something like that, that's just dirty, rotten pool.
It's like anything else, doesn't matter who you vote for. You know, there's more people in Quebec and Ontario, so it doesn't matter what we say out here, but it does.
It's like being in an abusive relationship, if you will.
Where will they go? If they want to go to US, yeah, more than welcome. Then we have less people here.
All Pierre had to do was defeat the most unpopular party in Canadian history.
Its own country, I don't know how that would work. 51st state, no chance.
I think people are just fed up and they want some sort of a change. If they're not going to get it out of Ottawa, then they got to take it into their own hands. And I think this is really indicative of how people are feeling in the western part of Canada.
With Alberta being a deeply blue conservative province, tensions between our federal and provincial governments may see a stark rise, alongside our province's separatist movement, which you can learn more about by reading the article for this report, which is linked in the description of this video. Today, the question we're asking Calgarians is what they think of these federal election results.
Who's ready? Who's ready? Who's ready to stand up for Canada with me?
What's your reaction to last night's results?
Surprised and disappointed.
Oh, I think it's okay. It's, predictable, I think.
They're going to continue to hollow out the middle class.
I'm not happy. I was thinking Conservatives will win.
I don't know how I tell you. I'm so happy.
I think, we were expecting a little bit of change, but honestly, we've seen the results and we're just going to take it in stride and move forward from there.
Disappointed that we're going to get another Liberal government, but with any sort of luck, hopefully it's going to stay a minority.
I think Canadians are f***ing stupid, straight out. Economically illiterate morons who cannot make a judgment call. And the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results.
I'm happy that Carney won. It was interesting to see that Conservatives gained a few seats. Poilievre lost his seat. So my overall reaction is, sort of muted. How's that? I'm neither excited nor angry, It's politics.
We have now put ourselves in a position where we have a minority government that is going to have the balance of power being determined by a party who wants to separate from the rest of the country. That's not a good place to be.
I think we got the best leader. Maybe not the best party, but we might have got the best leader. And personally, big Jagmeet Singh fan, and I'm sad to see him go. I think this was a Trump election, and we became a binary electorate. In other words, it was going to be conservative or liberal. And unfortunately, I'm a Quebecer. Je parle couramment français. And I wish the bloc would go away. They shouldn't be allowed in the national parliament. If they hadn't been there, it might have been quite a different result either way.
I don't know why Liberals have won if the whole Western Canada, or at least Alberta, kind of got f***ed over.
It's pretty disappointing that Canadians focused on a single issue instead of what has happened to our country in the past 10 years. So it just shows that Canadians are driven by emotion more than rational economic thought.
People have the shortest memory in this country. So 3 months of Trump meant we forgot about 9 years of what we went through. Like, what did the Liberals do to deserve another chance? Besides airdropping a leader in from nowhere, a softball leadership campaign that was basically spoon-fed to him. There's just one thing after another, and we're in for a really tough time. And I had to look at my kids last night and be like, sorry.
Tonight, I've been forward a party leader that I'll be stepping down as party leader as soon as an interim leader can be appointed.
Do you have any regret about forcing Canadians to live under a government they don't want so you can get richer? Because congratulations, today you are eligible for your pension.
Like I said, I'm not going to be answering your questions.
Last night, we saw the collapse of the NDP and their leader, Jagmeet Singh, step down. Why do you think this happened to the NDP, and what does this say about their party?
They've been irrelevant in my mind for a long time. It'll be different. It'll be very interesting
addressing this country over the next couple of months.
Small consolation victory, essentially. Yeah, maybe the Liberals won't have the support they had, but yeah, who knows how they're going to work that.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some change needed with the NDP, and I think that this election result allowed them to finally see that, and so they're going to be moving forward with someone else, and I think that'll work out in the future.
Partly because of their leader, but also I think there's a certain amount of collusion perhaps, and the NDP voters gravitated to the Liberal Party.
The NDP is going further left, which I feel like is alienating some people, and it clearly did not work, and that's why Singh stepped down.
Left-leaning voters, they're so anti, Trump and, American politics, and now here we see them creating a two-party election again.
I mean, yeah, that is pretty funny. I mean, hey, if that's how it's going to be, it definitely doesn't favor the Conservatives because the NDP has definitely given more votes to the Liberals, and that clearly was the difference in this election.
Bastard. Was it you or not?
Oh, the integrity is brutal. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm happy to see him finally gone because I wanted him gone for a long time. But to rip up an agreement in September with no teeth, no consequence whatsoever, I think he alienated his own voter base. But like being with the Liberals, number one, attached by the hip to Trudeau for 2 years, and then doing that, and then not forcing election, he had an opportunity. He would have formed official opposition, and Pierre Poilievre would be our prime minister. And he lost that chance, and he just tanked his own party.
I'm running for prime minister because together we can and will stop conservative cuts.
That's their loss, I'm sure, but no, I mean, that's the thing. I know left-leaning people wanted to keep Pierre out, so that's why they just joined on with the Liberals, knowing that their party was going to tank anyway.
They'll come back, no doubt, and I thought Singh was a decent guy. Sort of sad to see him go. I think he was a reasonable voice, and so to see him out is sort of disappointing, I would guess, but yeah, pretty wild stuff. I mean, the entire last 3 months have been wild, right? Like, who would have thought what happened yesterday would have happened if you'd asked somebody December 31?
It's with profound gratitude that I stand before you today at the moment of this historic election. Because only in Canada could the story that Anna and I bring to the stage be possible.
The Conservatives lost this election, and Pierre Poilievre seems to have been unseated. What's your reaction to this? And do you think if the Conservatives want to get a prime minister elected, they need some kind of reform?
I think a new face for the Conservative might be beneficial. I think that could have possibly led for them winning this year.
He was doing something right at some point, so I'm not sure if changing at this point would be a good thing, but they certainly need to look at the strategy in what was happening in this environment, and they went wrong somewhere.
Does he get another chance to go for it again? I don't know. The rest of Canada might, like the CBC and them will just dunk on him for that and trying again. But I will miss him. If this is the end of his leadership, I will miss having Pierre as the leader of the Conservatives.
I'm not sure if we're going to have to pivot to a more centrist candidate, because that also didn't work with Erin O'Toole. So it's honestly just a big question mark, and we'll just have to see. But it's unfortunate. I've loved Pierre Poilievre. I've been following him since like 2019.
Well, they're going to have to secure Ontario. There's no question. I think that was a miss. Unfortunately, in the West here, we have been alienated for a while. Like it or not, it's the reality.
I think you want to look at the positive side. They did very well in southern part of Ontario. He's increased the popular vote. Somehow we've got to find a seat for the man, and we'll see what this happens in the country in the next little while.
This report is brought to you by...
Let's face it, Canada's economy isn't heading in the right direction. Inflation's eating away your savings, and government debt is out of control. No politician is going to fix that overnight. With Guildhall Wealth, you can hold real physical gold and silver inside your RRSP. It's a time-tested way to protect your retirement and take back control of your wealth. Call 1-877-8-SILVER or visit guildhallwealth.com/rebel to request your free investor kit. And hey, make sure to mention Rebel News.
He was a little bit too far right, a little bit too American style politics. I think if you brought it back a little bit more and less of the woke stuff and a lot of that turns me off. I think it's sort of silly. Let's focus on issues, go a little bit more center. Listen, I voted Conservative my lifetime, and I potentially would again, but not this version.
Loading up his district with, over 100 names or something like that, that's just dirty, rotten pool. How unethical can you get? And then they adjusted the boundaries to incorporate more people into that riding that are likely to vote for the left.
I follow Wyatt Claypool, and he was over there volunteering, and he said they were pulling people into Carleton from other ridings, liberal volunteers, to basically make sure that they won that riding. And so that is tragic.
I don't think there is a path. I think Canada is done. I think this victory for Liberals is going to be the catalyst for separation for Alberta. It's been talked about for years, but I think it might be a reality now.
Is the door still open to Alberta separating? I feel that question wasn't directly answered.
Well, not by me. I believe in Alberta's sovereignty within a united Canada. However, there is a citizen-initiated referenda process that if citizens want to put a question on a ballot and get enough of their fellow citizens to sign that petition, then those questions will be put forward. Again, I don't want to prejudge what a question might be, but not by our government.
Speaking of the leaders, how do you think the relationship's going to go between Mark Carney and Alberta?
Not good. The closer off. Danielle Smith has already posted her response to it and her reaction, and I suppose the ball is in Carney's court now, but I have very little expectation on that front.
Danielle Smith is very combative, so I can't see them getting along great, that's for sure.
Alberta is gonna just remain the status quo. We're gonna get our government, federal government, doesn't really support us as much as the other provinces, and I find that pretty disappointing.
He doesn't represent the people at all. He's an elitist, and basically he's going to do everything he can to undermine the Alberta economy, and it's probably going to trigger a certain amount of momentum for separation, and we'll just have to see where that goes.
It's like anything else, doesn't matter who you vote for. There's more people in Quebec and Ontario, so it doesn't matter what we say out here, but it does.
Angus Reid and others have suggested polling that Alberta, Saskatchewan, Quebec separation sentiment will rise if Carney gets elected. He's now been elected. Where do you think that separation movement's headed?
I think the feeling will be there. I don't think it's actually going to happen. It's just not practical, but the sentiment is there, and it feels like it's like being in an abusive relationship, if you will.
I think people need to knock that off. I think we need to be united and reunited, and I don't want that. I wouldn't support that at all.
Well, whether it's separation or just more independence, without a doubt, Alberta needs more independence from Ottawa, for sure. The West does.
The movement is gaining a lot of momentum. And again, we'll see what happens over the ensuing months. I think we're in good hands with Danielle Smith. She's one of my favorites.
It's been a talking point from Quebec for longer than I've been alive. So I don't see that happening, but it definitely demonstrates that things aren't going great.
Maybe to scare people, I don't think that will happen. Where will they go? If they want to go to US, yeah, more than welcome. Then we have less people here,
Statistics that I've heard is that only 25% of Albertans are in favor of separating. So even if it does become a bigger dialogue, I hope it just stays there as a dialogue about, and maybe equalization payments and just making things fairer for Alberta and Alberta oil and gas industries.
Our path forward in Alberta is not the current government. It never has been. And all Pierre had to do was defeat the most unpopular party in Canadian history.
It would be interesting to see. Clearly, a lot of people vote Conservative in this province, but are they so conservative that they want to, become Americans? I don't know. I don't know. Listen, I'm a Canadian. I'm from Ontario. I've been here 25 years. I work oil and gas. I like this province. I would hate to see it become whatever it would be, its own country. I don't know how that would work. 51st state, no chance. So anyways, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. I guess that would be my take on that, but I don't think it'll actually gain any real teeth. I think it's all talk.
You hear everybody talking about it. I am actually a dual citizen, US Canadian, so this has been on my mind for quite some time, even before the election kind of started. There's always pluses and minuses to what that looks like. I'm kind of worried if there was an actual separation, but I think people are just fed up. And they want some sort of a change. And if they're not going to get it out of Ottawa, then they got to take it into their own hands. And I think this is really indicative of how people are feeling in the western part of Canada.
He's got to be really nice to Danielle Smith, because I'm from Quebec and I was brought up with that. The reason I've been living here for over 30 years is that the cacophony of constant talk about independence in Quebec. I did not want my children to go through that, so we moved out here when they were young to save them from that. Do I think it's going to rise? I know there's a separatist party. There's a couple of flavors of them here in this province. And so I'm sure that they're going to get some time at the microphone as well. And I think that's okay. I think the Federation, the Canadian Federation, should be tested. But don't do it the way Trump does things.
The separation movement is going to get more traction in the next year than ever before. I can remember it starting in the early 80s with the Western Canada Concept Party. But this assault on specifically the Canadian energy industry is not going to stop. And just based on the demographics of the country, Quebec and Ontario is going to control the West, and we can't even get proper representation for voting here in Alberta. And I believe we only have 6 spots for senators, and New Brunswick or Nova Scotia has more than we do. This Westminster system needs some major adjustments.
I believe we have to finally grow up here in this country, make the Senate elected, but make it elected along geographic lines, not population. Have a senator for the northern part of every province, and I'm from Quebec. Spent a lot of times hunting and fishing up north. The needs of people up north are completely different than ours here in the city. I think we need to relook at the Senate as an elected house based on geography.
Well, you've heard what they had to say. Let me know in the comments what you think about Canada's federal election, our new leader, Mark Carney, and the separatist movement that might be coming to a province near you. For Rebel News, I'm Sydney Fizzard. RebelFieldReports.com is where you have to go if you want to see more independent journalism like this, telling you the other side of the story at RebelFieldReports.com.